Earthlings, we have now taken over your radio.
Mike Schaefer.
See, I would argue, because I like to argue.
We all underestimated how hard it is to, one, win college football games, and two, transition and take over a program.
Mike Schaefer.
I was trying to kindly tell Mr. Bishop the Vikings have a chance to surprise some people, and I think that they could even win the division.
Mike Schaefer.
It doesn't seem like the kind of book where they would be hooked on meth. That got dark.
Mike Schaefer.
We are live on Stibbs TV. You can see all of our handsome faces, including the recently trimmed Mike Schaefer. Got the beard trimmed last week. Looks good. And is that Leinenkugel's hat from your trip to Wisconsin last week?
It is indeed.
Looks good.
Cool hat.
I like Leinenkugel's. It's good beard.
I do too. I don't think it has a particularly strong rep amongst the real craft heavy people, but they do good beer. Like none of it is, I think, great, but it's all very drinkable, and that's what you want.
I like their shandies, the summer shandy, the grapefruit shandy.
Dude, I don't even like grapefruit, but I love grapefruit shandy. It is so refreshing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've done the grapefruit shandy.
It's pretty
I
good.
learned that 52% of their entire sales is summer shandy. Like
Not surprising. It seems like everyone has that at every beach gathering or backyard barbecue. It's good.
It surprises me a little bit because they've been around since like the 1880s, and that beer has only been around since 2007, and it just has exploded since coming onto the scene. It pretty much was like the spritzer before the spritzer became things.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Says a lot about their other beer, I guess.
maybe it does that as well.
All right, Schaefer, dealer's choice. Would you like to first address the sellout streak, or what is Nebraska going to do about the red balloon release this year?
Well, let's go with the red balloon release.
Okay.
So what are they going to do?
So what should we do?
I think that someone should dress up as Pennywise the Clown with a singular red balloon and hide all over Lincoln. Just it's one person all over the community, and people have to find him like he's Waldo before that balloon gets released.
Oh my God!
Remember a couple years ago when
that
clowns were just all over the country being really creepy when the first one came out? I love this idea, Shay.
Simpler times when the only thing we were scared about were rogue clowns in the woods.
Murdering us.
I like this idea.
I love it. That'd be great.
And it will give the kickoff kid something to do.
Get chased around by Pennywise.
And they get a different kickoff kid every week, so who cares what happens to him, right?
Just throw that kid in the gutter. Let's move on. Got another one lined up for next week.
Oh my God.
This idea is free, Nebraska. It's free.
Another free idea from your friends at 1620 The Zone and Husker 24/7.
Oh man, that is great.
Well, we're finally through all.
Now, do we have to do the sellout streak? Is that what's next?
No, we don't have to do the sellout.
I don't have any thoughts because I don't care.
Yeah. The only thing we're worried about is if the parents don't all get their tickets, does the sellout streak continue? But we're not even gonna go there. Okay, so we're done with all this, Big Ten schedule, falderall, BS, whatever it is you want to call it.
Have you guys had any truck drivers from Albuquerque call in with their thoughts lately?
No truck drivers from Albuquerque.
I believe I heard, and it might have even been from this station, that truck drivers from Albuquerque felt like Nebraska got a raw deal when they just looked at the schedule.
Yeah.
You did hear that.
Yeah, you did. But, there's people down in Missouri right now saying, oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to see our schedule?
That's true.
That's not as hard, though.
Do we really care what people in Missouri think? I mean,
fair. Another fair point.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially Missouri grads.
I mean, isn't Missouri just like a larger version of Fremont, which we more?
Not as
Schaefer's
many
roasting everybody. Kids,
not as many
Fremont.
not as many porn shops. Not as many porn
Not
shops
as many?
as Missouri. Yeah.
Yeah, per
Fireworks,
capita.
yes. Porn, not as much.
A little less.
No, they have the same exact amount of
More than anything else, but no.
What was that snide remark? I missed that.
It's probably better if we just move on.
That's a good idea. Let's move on.
Moving on.
I was fascinated by some of the reaction, talking to some of the Big Ten coaches over the last few days. in regards to, getting a team ready for the season. Kirk Ferentz had a quote that he's worried because in Iowa right now is, quote, behind in training. Before everything, finally got settled, Scott Frost said, yeah, I could have a team ready in 3 weeks. How much truth do you find in some of these statements right now from coaches, on either side saying, yeah, we can be ready tomorrow if we have to be, or, oh man, we're just so far behind?
I mean, I think we should take a long look at what happened in the NFL over the weekend where you had a ton of injuries, and we're going to be asking college athletes to ramp up in whatever amount of time. If you're Wisconsin, it's probably a little bit less. If you're Nebraska, you've been working at least the 12 allotted hours to some degree since August. But I don't know. Look, I don't know if there's an exact number that would fit everyone here. I have a really tough time believing that Nebraska would be ready in 3 weeks to go play a game and physically ready, like their bodies would be ready to go and go through that rigor, because everyone's off season. Like I said, you saw with the NFL a number of injuries, and I really think a lot of that has to do. You didn't have preseason football. You probably had a different version of training camp than you've ever had before. You probably have more guys sitting out than you've ever had before. If that's going to be the same for college football, I think you're looking at a fair amount of injuries, and we've already seen the quality of play in college football across the country for the teams that have started so far has been some of it good. Some teams like Clemson look like they haven't missed a beat. Some teams that were expected to be good and notoriously have coaches and programs that are thought to show up to play on Saturdays, they've really struggled. So I don't know if there's a definitive answer. I think that every coach would always want more time. But I guess I'm mostly curious, and I sort of have been, and it's a conversation we really haven't had to have in a while. It's just athletically, are these guys going to be at their peak to where, if you're Nebraska and you want to run tempo, which means you want to run anywhere from 80 to 100 plays offensively in a game, like you're going to be putting a lot of stress on some bodies that, yeah, you're practicing, but are you getting to that level? Are you really getting to game level at practice consistently that you can go out and you can, we all know that it's a little bit different what you see on a Monday and Tuesday versus what it is on a Saturday.
And Schaefer, what do you think about the mindset that these programs are going to have? Because like Nebraska, for instance, they were fighting the decision. I know that at various points over the last month, they were still practicing. Meanwhile, you have a program like a Minnesota, who we're going to preview next hour, or this hour now, at the bottom of the hour, who was very, they praised the conference a ton in their decision-making. I've been wondering a lot about that, the mental interest that these teams have had, and maybe even the ebbing and flowing that could cause for the football field.
Yeah, I will say this. You'd much rather, I think, be in Nebraska where you have kind of been pining for and mentally putting yourself in a spot where you're expecting to play these games, and, kind of Minnesota where PJ Fleck sent everybody home in early August because they didn't need to be on campus at that point in time. And so, how much that's ultimately going to matter, we'll find out when they play these games in October. But, Minnesota, which started last year a little bit sleepy in a season that they had a great year. They were undefeated through the beginning of November. I don't think you're going to get that kind of runway. You're jumping right into Big Ten play. And Minnesota starts with Michigan?
Yep.
Right off the bat. That's going to be a tough first game, and especially for one where whether they have Rashad Bateman or not, they weren't planning on playing at this point. They weren't. I fully believe that PJ Fleck did not want to play football until maybe late November at the earliest. And so they have to ramp up in a hurry. He's going to put on a good show in front of the media, but all signs basically showed behind the scenes Minnesota was not interested in playing football in September. I don't know how excited they are to do it at the beginning or at the end of October.
Yeah, and so now kind of combining the first two questions that we have asked, I almost liken it to like when we're in college and you find out, hey, you have a snow day. And I remember one of those times it's like, all right, sweet, and ended up just like partying with my friends because, don't have classes tomorrow. And you just wonder about mentally, but also physically, did guys, a couple days say, well, I'm eating like crap, I'm drinking, I'm having a good time because I know that I don't really have anything to build up towards anymore. And so I know that the time period was not that long. It was only a month. But you can really put on a lot of bad weight in a month, as I think all of us know.
Oh, sure. I mean, I think I have many testaments in my life to point out how much bad weight one could put on in a short amount of time. I'm pretty sure I did it this weekend when I was up in Wisconsin. But yeah, so I think that's going to be a big part of it. And that's where, coaches are going to earn their money. That's where these programs are going to have to figure out what they have. And like I said, you feel like that's an advantage for Nebraska where, yeah, they have to go up against Ohio State, but at least mentally they've kind of had the mantra of we have to be ready to go whenever our number is called. And so I think that's going to help out a program like that. I think the fact that they've been really consistent with working out even throughout this time is going to help out a program like that. I mean, I'm curious, Nebraska hasn't had the training table. I don't know if they have had apex nutrition throughout the last month or so, in part because of COVID. But look, from a mental standpoint, you have to feel better about what they have been doing than a Michigan State or a Minnesota or a Rutgers or a Northwestern. But ultimately, the season starts the same day for everybody for the most part. And it's what you do from that point forward is all any of us are going to be talking about.
Mike Schaefer joining us, Husker 24/7. Now, the line has changed. We quoted the win totals yesterday from betonline.ag. They had Nebraska at 5 wins. Well, the bettors have come in strong on the under, and so that total has dropped to 4. So it's dropped by a full game.
And remember, this is for a 9-game season. It's counting the extra week.
Exactly. I'm just curious what your thoughts were when you saw that total come out. Does 4 make more sense now than 5?
I mean, if I could bet that on an 8-game schedule at 3.5, I'm probably betting the over. I like Nebraska to win 4 games just on an 8-game schedule. So now you're giving me, I don't know who the opponent's going to be in a 9th game, but you're getting a perceived 9th game. I like Nebraska's ability to go 5-4 this year. I really do. I think they're going to steal a game against Wisconsin, or I think they're going to give themselves that opportunity to. And the back half of the schedule is still tough, but I think they can go toe to toe. And I think this is a year where you can win 2 out of 3 against Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. You do that and you take care of the other 3 programs. I really think that Nebraska, because of the way that their depth is, this is the deepest team that they've had so far. They return starters. I think they're excited about Matt Lubick, and they have kind of a refined sense on offense. I firmly believe that Dedrick Mills can be kind of a bell cow to let this offense kind of get started. I don't know how well that's going to work week 1 against Ohio State, but maybe that's exactly what you need to do against an Ohio State. Maybe lining up and running against a team and letting yourself find your way into the game against a really good opponent. You make them work to have to stop your run game. I mean, I just like the way Nebraska's set up this year. I have every iteration of this schedule. I've been optimistic, when they had a 12-game schedule, it felt like to me they could be a 7-win team. When it was a 10-game schedule, it felt like they could be a 6-win team. And now I feel like they can be a 4-win team with the upside of 5 wins with that 9th game. So I would look at it really hard if it's sitting at if you're getting it 3.5, I'd tell you to hammer it. But 4.5 is right in that range where you got to feel pretty confident if you're going to put your money with it.
So, Schaefer, in a traditional third year, we would have been having a lot of interesting conversations in a normal summer leading into a normal September about how important this season is for Scott Frost and the trajectory of the program. Where are you at now with that? Because to me, it almost seems like if they're really good, that is going to be used as a, look, we're on our way. If it's bad, the obvious caveats of COVID-19 are going to be used as well. And I think, honestly, either of those opinions are fair. Where are you at with this season?
I would basically, and I know if Sipple was on here, he would hate this. I said this on his show too. I feel like you don't want to get too caught up in results one way or the other in 2020 with college football, because I just think you're going to have some weird things happen. And what some of these teams might look like in an 8-week sprint, what you're catching Iowa at or what Iowa's catching Nebraska at on Black Friday is going to be different than if it was a normal season. And so I do think that it can propel momentum as we talk about it and as we think about Nebraska football. But I don't know if like, let's say everything breaks right and they go 6-2 and they have a 6-2 season and they finish 7-2 of a bowl win at a decent bowl, wherever that is, however it works, or 7-2 after the ninth game, whatever that is, and they're going to a decent bowl. I don't know if that necessarily means that they become – I know what it means in college football. People would make them a really trendy pick for the Big Ten West the following year. But I'm not quite ready to say that this is going to be a year that we're going to look at these results and they're going to matter a whole lot as we're looking at 2021. I don't know. There's just – it feels like there's going to be some weirdness to how this all comes together.
Did you have that other Urban Meyer quote? He was on Dan Patrick yesterday and was asked about the Pac-12 conference, and it led me to think about a recruiting question for you, Schaefer. Here was Urban Meyer yesterday. He was asked about the Pac-12 and what they need to do here over the next few days.
Well, right now, if they don't, the recruiting disadvantage that the Pac-12 will face for a long period of time, Dan, will be catastrophic. Is such a hard word to use when you're talking about sports, but catastrophic. I mean, the Pac-12 right now has already had recent struggles in years. Think about the day when Pete Carroll, Matt Leinart, and my teammates Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart were playing. You didn't even think about recruiting LA because you're not going to beat USC, UCLA. You're not. Now you can go out there and you can compete against that conference because they're down. They have to get going.
So based on that, let's just assume, now I know the Pac-12 may end up playing, but can there be an advantage gleaned, especially for a school like Nebraska, who has recruited California many times? Do you think that the efforts out there intensify because now you can really sell the fact that, hey, we're going to play football out here? We don't know how committed all these West Coast programs are to football. Do you think there's an advantage Nebraska can get?
No, I don't. And I'm curious. I would love to actually have this conversation with Urban Meyer. Because if you look at the demographics of what it was like when USC was running and the schools that were recruiting California, Nebraska was one of the few schools that was consistently going in there every year. Now you look at it, Oklahoma's in California all the time. Tennessee's in California. Alabama's in California. Alabama has a little stronghold going on in Northern California. LSU's in California. I mean, the big programs recruit nationwide anymore. I just don't know if there's any more inherent advantage for Nebraska recruiting California than there would be for, say, Tennessee or for Auburn or some of these programs. I mean, you look at some of these guys like Jalen Weaver's a 3-star kid out of California that has Nebraska in his top group. I mean, he also has Tennessee, and I can't remember who the third team is off the top of my head, and I'll look it up right now. But, you know, it doesn't matter that Nebraska has had some history there because the world has gotten so small in terms of recruiting. I guess Indiana's the other third team. I wouldn't have wouldn't guess that, but no offense to Indiana, let's not get bent out of shape over this.
Yeah, we don't want to trigger them.
It goes to speak to everybody can go out there and recruit. So I don't know if Nebraska gets any more advantage than some other programs. I mean, one thing that Nebraska has for it is Tony Tuioti has a ton of relationships out there. Matt Lubick has a ton of relationships out there. Their quarterback is from Fresno. I mean, they can point to some guys that are from the California area. And I really do think that just like with Florida, they need to hit on some people in some of those population centers if they're going to build any kind of pipeline. But Oklahoma has just done such a great job of guys have come from California, had success at Oklahoma, go back to California. Oklahoma's a huge school now in California. You wouldn't think that. Oregon's a huge school in California. It's so different than that time period that he's referencing. And yeah, USC was owning the Los Angeles area. Now, I mean, I bet if you went and you pulled up a map of all of the schools that take a kid from the LA area, you'd probably fill up 60% of college football with one kid coming out of that area. I mean, it's just a way that it works now. So I don't think there's any more advantage for Nebraska than anyone else that's potentially playing. But it certainly makes it harder for the Pac-12 because they're already losing a ton of kids from California as it is. And now when you just don't have football and your conference, the Big Ten has been a big joke here, but the Pac-12, no one was surprised when the Pac-12 canceled. No one's surprised that the Pac-12 hasn't come back yet or doesn't have the complete plan to come back yet, or that Larry Scott is mired in another, sort of controversy. So it's just it's an interesting deal. You look at an Oregon that was a team that some felt had fringe, college football playoff potential, that's recruiting as well as anybody in the country right now. I'm curious if they're going to be able to bring that class home, or if they're going to start getting picked off by some of these programs that are playing football. I mean, there's some real concern if you're Mario Cristobal right now, and you can't really point to anything super well at this point about what your conference is doing for the future.
Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. You're going to be covering some high school football this weekend. Do you have your Friday game picked out?
Well, so I've really struggled this year at determining what day of the week it is, and I thought my Friday game was Lincoln East, Lincoln Southeast. That's actually tomorrow, so that's my Thursday game, which means my Friday game is open. Maybe I will.
Really? Because I might have a suggestion for you.
Oh,
we're going to be at Omaha Roncalli,
as you are every year,
and we'll feed you.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? Last year I dropped by the game that you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Last year we all had to wear coats. This week it'll be 90 degrees.
It'll be 90 degrees. So the boys at Roncalli are going to take care of us at the world famous concession stand. They're playing Omaha Gross, so we'll have a good Catholic on Catholic battle, but. Yeah, this Friday, the program will there. So you're more than welcome to come join us again.
I very well might do that, though I think my Omaha Roncalli fiance would be a little bit jealous that I get to attend the game and she can't.
She can come.
I mean, yeah, you're allowed. Women are allowed to go to sporting events too, Schaefer.
Are they open to the public now?
Yes. And I believe they are allowed to vote.
All right. Well, I didn't know because she made it seem like Roncalli wasn't allowing.
Oh, he was being serious. Yeah, we're pretty sure that fans are allowed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fans are allowed, and of course we're outside anyway, we're.
Well, I mean, look, it's different at different places. I mean, I've been to some games where there's fans, and I've been to some games where there's only parents. It's been unique to say the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They didn't say anything about any restrictions.
Well, I mean, start inviting everybody.
Well, we're inviting anybody. We're inviting them to come out and eat food.
Yes, come and eat.
Yeah, come and eat.
Great concessions there.
Very good concessions there. So I understand. Are you and Stibbs going to bet on this? Who wins first, Vikings or Broncos?
I don't think either of us are confident that our team is going to do it.
I don't feel like wagering.
Come on,
anything.
the Broncos played the Jets in a week from tomorrow.
The Jets still have a lot of their starters.
Yeah, but their starters are bad.
So are the Broncos starters, and they are their second string guys.
Yeah, I looked at your schedule, Schaefer. Your guys' schedule is it's not easy anytime soon.
Yeah, I think there's a guy that's really, really smart that was on your show a few weeks ago and said that the opening schedule is pretty difficult. Though this does feel like the kind of week where everybody goes all in on the Titans in a survivor pool, and the Vikings show up and somehow manage to win a game. Because Ryan Tannehill, I still don't really believe in.
I'm with you. He's a fraud.
But he'd be more or less a fraud than Cousins has been so far this year.
Look, Cousins has a playoff win. That's all they brought him in to do, is to win one game. They paid him $33 million, and now we'll see if he can win a second game at some point in his career.
Yeah, I suppose. All right, Schaefer. Well, maybe we'll see you Friday. If not, no big deal. But we'll definitely got to try to plan a Wang Nachos at some point. Because it's the original social distancing event.
It really is. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, if we can get it on the schedule, I am absolutely in.
Awesome.
There he is, the great Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7.
Bye, Schaefer.
Bye, guys.
There he is, Mike Schaefer. And again, we will be at Omaha Roncalli this Friday.
Hell yeah.
I still have my cup.
Heck yeah.
And the sticker stayed on too.
Wow.
I
My
still have
sticker
mine.
disappeared very swiftly. I
Yeah.
love that mug, though. I use it all the time.
It's a great mug.
Yeah.
It's a great mug.
Still got my sticker.
Dang, look at you guys.
Yep. I was hand washing that thing. I wanted that sticker to stay on.
Yeah, I hand washed it too. That sticker, maybe
wow.
I might have just
You know
ripped it
what?
off.
I have never hand washed this. It's always going
Did you
through
hear
the
that?
dishwasher.
Our friends at Ron Colley?
No.
Josh
it started,
just ripping the sticker
it
off right away.
started tearing away a little bit, so I just figured instead of, pulling it off slowly, you just rip the Band-Aid off. I'm sorry, Ron Colley. I'm sorry.
So you're planning on giving him another one? I would.
Please do. No, don't. No. The other one has the
He can buy
logo
his
on-
own Ron Colley stickerless cup at Walmart.
Harsh.
Where Wisconsin coaches get all their hats.
Indeed, they do.
Coming up, we're going to take to the skies and start to preview the Nebraska football schedule.
Oh,
in
man.
our own special way. That's at the bottom of the hour
Awesome.
here on 1620 The Zone.